Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist, and today I'm bringing you a book review from the 6 R.L. Stine novellas originally released in the year 2000. And the book in question for this video is My Alien Parents. I'm going to be honest, I did not have the best time reading this story. This is the shortest novella out of all 6, which makes me believe that this was always intended to be a short story. So with that being said, when I get to the rating portion of this video, I will be rating this story like a short story. I'm pretty positive that 3 out of the 6 were always supposed to be shorter in length, aka short stories, and 3 of them were supposed to be full length or actual books. If I had to guess, this story and a couple of other ones, I'll get into my complete thoughts on that when I do my ranking video for these, and thoughts, final thoughts and stuff like that. I have a sinking feeling that this was supposed to be a short story, most likely in triple header, in that book 3 that was never released. So if I had to guess where the story for this came from, that would be my guess. But anyway, let's get into the book review without giving too much away. So this kid named Rob wakes up one Saturday morning. And he goes downstairs after his mom yells up to him that she's made breakfast for him. And he's all excited. He comes downstairs. And the breakfast she made him isn't the way that he normally likes it. And he feels that his mom knows the way he likes his eggs. But she made them in the total opposite way that he prefers them. As a matter of fact, she made poached eggs, which are his least favorite. And his favorite are scrambled. So he asks his mom to remake the eggs, and his mom starts giving him attitude. And when this happens, he starts to notice that his parents, specifically his mom in this situation at first, isn't acting like she normally would with him. She's being very short with him, very quick-tempered, giving him a certain look that she's never given him before in his life. And he starts to feel really uncomfortable around her. And then the dad walks downstairs to get some breakfast too, and he obviously takes the poached eggs, and he looks over at his dad, and he's starting to wonder about his dad because his dad doesn't like poached eggs either, but now he's eating the poached eggs like they're the best breakfast of all time. And he's starting to have this idea that his parents are acting very strange, and something feels off. So the story goes on after his parents are, talking about how weird Rob is acting, but Rob thinks they're the ones acting weird. And his dad reveals that he wants to go to the hardware store to pick up some lumber to work on a project in the basement. And that's also another signal to Rob that whoever this person is impersonating his dad isn't his real dad, because his dad has never been to a lumber store ever and would never build something in a basement, especially with lumber. So this starts Rob on a spiral, and it kind of goes into a metaphor for psychiatric illness. He starts to go basically crazy. He starts to think that his parents aren't his parents, and they're some type of body-snatching imposters pretending to be his parents. So his dad eventually leaves to go to the hardware store, and he's pretty convinced after watching numerous shows about aliens and stuff that his parents are aliens. And his friend comes over to visit, and he can't be any happier because he feels like he needs to tell his best friend, his next door neighbor, that his parents have been abducted and been replaced by aliens. But then he notices his friend has these weird nuances going on with him that are out of character. His friend's not really into sports. Now he's reading his sports magazines in his bedroom. And he starts to think, oh, they got to my best friend too. And there's a pretty violent scene with Rob beating on his neighbor friend because he thinks he's an alien. He starts beating up his friend, and his friend's screaming bloody murder for help, and his mom comes upstairs and, resolves the situation, and his friend basically says, I never want to come back here. Rob is crazy. good riddance. And his mom feels like she has to punish Rob. But Rob is like on this point of psychosis that he needs to escape this house and wherever he is because he's basically in the Twilight Zone. And, you know, that's basically a nod within the story, is that it's like a psychosis story within the Twilight Zone, to give you an idea. So Rob is gearing up to leave. He goes down the stairs, and then he bumps into his dad, who asks him to help carry the lumber to the basement. And Rob feels like he has no choice. And he comes up with this plan that once he's done within the basement, he's going to leave. So he takes the lumber down to the basement with his dad. He notices that his dad is still acting weird. He gets creeped out and he tries running away. And his mom stops him at the top of the basement stairs. And Rob, has been keeping a journal, writing down all of these ideas that his parents, like basically what his parents are doing, so he can come up with proof in his mind that they actually are aliens. And his mom takes the journal and reads it, and then something completely out of left field happens. It's like a total 180 in the story, where it's revealed not everything is as it seems, especially going on with Rob. And there's another, meta problem going on at hand, and then the story ends there. But yeah, that's basically in a nutshell my alien parents. This story flew by. It took me like 10 minutes to read this thing. I will say, the strengths it does have, I kind of dig the psychosis element to this. Watching Rob spiral into basically, paranoia and borderline schizophrenic symptoms. I think this story is a metaphor for those things. Because I don't think there was real aliens ever in the story. Or at least ever hinted to be. But, yeah, it was pretty interesting stuff. It definitely felt like an episode of Twilight Zone. But the problems I had with this story is that Rob as a main character is just awful. He's kind of written like a complainy, bratty, child. Not to mention he's going through this psychosis thing in the story, making him even worse. Plus, the story itself, the pace, I guess, was okay for the length. But the trope at the end, the whole meta aspect, has been done in R.L. Stine's stories so many times. I'm not going to spoil what the meta aspect is, but to give you a hint, I'm going to point you in the direction of a shocker on Shock Street. And I'll leave it at that. But, nonetheless, it just felt unoriginal. It did not feel like something, if this, was in a short story collection, I'll let it pass. But since it's its own, book, I would be really upset if I forked out the original $4 for this. I would be upset. But I will be rating this on a short story rating scale. So I'm looking for originality, deliverance in the page constraints. Was it scary? Was it original? I think it checks a couple of those boxes, but in the originality department, it kind of suffered. The deliverance kind of ties into how the main character was written and how the story flowed. I don't think the main character was a good example for a protagonist in a story. But I did like the problems he was going through, and that's the originality coming through there. So, for it being uninspired and the main character being a really big puke of a kid, that bogged down the grade of this. I deducted basically 1.5 points off for this story. So, for the short story here, I'm going to give it an average rating at a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's pretty deserved there. I think there's a lot of short stories way better than this Stine has written in the past. But I do like a lot about it. It does have its originality going for it. I do like the psychosis element to it. So, yeah, I think most people would actually get some level of enjoyment out of this. But I definitely think it's one of the weaker novellas from this set of 6. So yeah, basically that's my review for My Alien Parents. If you guys have read this in the comments section, please let me know. If you have read this, did you love it or did you hate it? I'm dying to know, and I'll see you next time.